Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm waiting until some people start chiming in. Hope you guys had a good day, inshallah. I'm a little tired. I'm making it through, with the help of some good tea. Alhamdulillah. This is spirit, and this is a spirit as in something really compels me to talk about this topic. Because I'm going to change things up a little bit. This is a topic that I think a lot of people resonate with, and a lot of people are afraid to admit that they've gone through. The first one is unrequited love. You ask yourself, what is unrequited love? Unrequited love is loving somebody that doesn't have the same feelings for you. Usually, especially if it's a guy pursuing a woman and she's not interested in him, and there's a million songs about that. There's a million movies about that, million poems about that. It's it's a recurring thing, but it tortures some of us, man. And I think I had that problem for a lot of my life, and now I can reflect on what caused that like that. It's going to be me reflecting on unrequited love, what's compelled me to do, for better or for worse, And then also another one is going to be sexual intimacy. This is really taboo in the Ummah. I've seen sisters, even like sister YouTubers, Milhan's Philosopher's Corner in particular, talk about her being a female revert. You know what I'm saying? And you can't be, if you're a female revert, you probably, especially if you've been raised in the West, you probably have some sexual history. It just comes with the territory, right? And how it's hard for even her to maybe find a husband based upon that, because a lot of people from, overseas and whatnot, that a lot of them value virginity for various reasons. But just because of that, she has sexual history, it's hard for her to get married. And sometimes I think that there is a little hypocrisy in that, because I know a lot of brothers out here that got girlfriends. You know what I mean? Now, if it's promiscuous, a different kind of level, then I can kind of be like a little bit iffy about that, because you can't just be super promiscuous for long periods of time in your life, and all out of nowhere you're just like, oh, I'm done with that. Like, it's a process, you know what I mean? And I think that a lot of people are intimidated by that, especially if somebody, in my opinion, that has a lot of sex is probably something really important to them. So if you're in a marriage and you can't perform like how she's used to, or he's used to, even your marriage is going to have a lot of conflict, and a lot of people won't admit this, but a lot of conflict in relationships comes from sexual issues. Somebody's not getting enough sex. Somebody's not getting good enough sex. Somebody's needs aren't being met. I've seen it a lot, and a lot of people don't want to admit that a lot of the time is what fuels a lot of the dysfunction in relationships. Is a lot of people aren't sexually satisfied. So at least in my opinion, I don't mind a girl that has history. I can't be a hypocrite, right? I'm a revert myself. I've had history. So I'm not. So if I want to marry a woman, I totally appreciate that she even went 2 steps in her life to change her behavior. And I'm not going to hold that against her. However, what we'll draw the line is if she was a sex worker or a porn star or something like that. I would draw the line right there, because that is a whole other different kind of ball game. You just don't transition overnight from that kind of lifestyle. You know what I mean? I think that's something that's a completely different ball game. But yeah, if you dated a couple of guys, you had sex, maybe a couple one night stands, I don't consider that too detrimental. But if you're like out freaking, every night you were with a different guy for years and years and years, that's why I consider it problematic. It's just like, it's like I don't even have time of a day to even, be around and hang out with my friends half the time. You know what I mean? So if you are out there and it's like a constant thing, and that's your priority is to get as much sex as possible, that means like either in a relationship, I'm going to have to be having sex with you a lot. And granted, I like sex, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to be married to a woman that just constantly needs sex. Like that gets annoying. You know what I mean? Like even for me, I'm a guy. Guys are like, oh, guys are always horny, especially black men. You're always horny. It's like, sometimes I am, but during the day I got things to do. I gotta, run errands. I gotta work out. I gotta do this, do that. Like I don't have time to just be laying in bed or in the bathroom smashing the crap out of you all the time. Like, and like I said, important. Okay, Sig Diggy. Yeah, sorry, man. Kind of missed you out. How's it going, man? Peace to you too. Yeah, Salt and Peppers. It's all about sex. Yeah. That is kind of like child's play compared to what's out right now. I mean, that all people do is talk about sex. Communication relationship is very important. Yes, it is very important. And for me, that's the only reason I think that a lot of guys, like, to be honest, in the West, no guy wants to marry a virgin. I'm just going to be completely honest. Now, for fraternity reasons, right? It's like, oh, I just want to make sure the kid's mine. But no guy in the West, to be honest, really thinks about marrying a virgin. Like, that doesn't really cross their mind. No woman in the West wants to marry a virgin either. They want somebody that is going to be able to satisfy them. And I hate to say it, it's like riding a bike, man. The only way you can get good at riding a bike or driving a car or doing something monotonous is you got to do it a couple of times to get good at it. And to be honest, even me, like I can't imagine what it's like being with a virgin and then, having to teach her everything. And she's just laying there and I'm freaking, experienced and all this other kind of stuff. I can see, even from a woman's point of view, it being really intimidating, right? So I think that both people, if they're on the same level, that's something comparative. Like a virgin marrying another virgin, I think that would be pretty decent. But if it's like, one person super sexually experienced as opposed to one person a virgin, I think that's very, very intimidating for somebody, I wouldn't even want to do that. Like, what I mean? That's a huge, burden. That's probably not the right word, but it's just like very intimidating for me to be like, I'm this person's first, and they're gonna remember this for the rest of their life, and I have to do this right the first time. I can't just take it for granted and all this other kind of stuff. Like that's some big shoes to fill. That's why I think a lot of guys that intentionally want to go seek out virgins to have sex are kind of messed up in the head. Like you got to be kind of messed in the head. It's like, all I want to have sex with is a virgin. Especially if it's just promiscuous sex. It's like, why would you waste your time? Like, to me, it's just like, especially no girl's going to be a virgin and then freaking flip the script on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's going to be very, very timid, most likely, and all other kinds of stuff. So you're most likely a guy that probably likes girls that are like feeble and weak and all that kind of stuff. To me, that's not my thing. That's borderline crossing into the boundaries. I don't agree with. You know what I'm saying? But but let me go back to Unrequited Love. So Unrequited Love, I can remember for most of my life, I always developed crushes on girls that I had no chance with. At least in the sense of I was very shy, very nerdy, kind of antisocial too, and awkward. And so a lot of the girls that I fell for wouldn't give me time of the day, even if I was like, the last guy on earth, to be honest. You know what I mean? That's just something I realized as I get older. And so a lot of times I'll get bummed out thinking that I didn't have a chance with these people. Now, like as a grown man, I'm like, those girls weren't worth it. Like falling in love when you're a child is nothing. It's very, very superficial. Because sometimes you really don't know these people for who they really are. You just see what they're like at school or during games and stuff. So it's kind of weird that people we put down on a pedestal. Granted, it's beautiful. It has so much innocence to it, but it's really a lot of it is illogical. So now as an adult, I haven't been quite in love with anybody in at least like a year or two, So last time though, I realized a lot of it had to do with my mental state of mind. thinking that this girl was going to be able to change my life for the better and be a miracle. You know what I'm saying? So I realized that I can't go and seek out a relationship if I'm not in a good place. And unfortunately, a lot of people aren't like that. I mean, there's way too many people that I know throughout my entire life that, like they just go for it as soon as possible. Meanwhile, they're not in the best condition themselves. They can barely even take care of themselves. They can't barely even save themselves. Let's say they have addiction issues with the law, financial issues, all this kind of stuff. They just head on and rush into the nearest and quickest relationship they can get in because our culture doesn't make it be cool being alone. You know what I mean? Being single is looked upon, unless you're like, Sex in the City, and it's like, for instance, for women, being single is cool. It's like, I have all this choice of different guys, and I know I can tie me down. I'm living my best life now. It's like, why would you be single? Like, it's kind of, it sucks for the most part. You're having to juggle, constantly being somebody's purview to get attention with somebody for a possibility of a relationship, not including maybe also if you have female friends, this, that, and the third. And it's very, very exhausting, and a lot of guys, they focus so much on that, but since it's so exhausting, they focus so much on that to get that right. Meanwhile, their personal life is a scam, you know what I mean? Like, they don't make good money. They're not physically fit. They play too many like, childish like aspirations and stuff like that. They don't take their life seriously. They have no ambition. Why? Because they're constantly chasing a girl. You know what I mean? And I've seen actually girls, be like, oh, he's a cute guy. I'll give him a chance, but those guys, they still have that mindset. They're like, oh, I got the girl now. So like, they further themselves in development and their maturity. So the girl's basically in the position of power in the relationship, like she's the one that's going places in life and this, that, and the third. And the guy thinks, I'm getting in these guts, and she loves me. So, obviously everything's all right. But, at the end of the day, something's going to give. She's not going to respect you if you have no ambition to better yourself. I've seen this countless times. I've seen it so bad to where I was living with somebody that was there was a couple that was going through that, and literally that girl lost her mind and was trying to get like every dude that would come through the house, like trying to slam her, like trying to hook up with her because her like boyfriend was a bum, and she even stated, she's like, oh, he doesn't do anything all day, all he does is smoke weed and drink and watch TV. I want a guy that does something with his life. And and this is like the second I was there, you know what I mean? I was like, well, like, hey, you stay away from me, because I already saw there was trouble. And then in the end, sure enough, she ended up cheating on him with like multiple guys, and she felt justified. She felt justified because she was just like, hey, I'm holding you down. I'm making all these sacrifices for you. You're not going anywhere in life. I'm just tired of it. And she probably also lost sexual attraction to him. She realized what she was worth. She was like, oh, I'm a good looking woman. I'm fit. Guys used to scope her out all the time, and I was like, man, it's only a matter of time, before, some guy that, got his things together and looks better than him, hits her up, it's only a matter of time. So it's kind of crazy like that, man. So let me see. I was getting like kind of, you know what? I'm gonna end this one a little short. Sick Diggity, I know it's you, Wolf. Hey, thanks so much for coming through as usual. I need a chicken wing. Hey, you know what? If you guys want to jump on, let me put the link in the chat. You know what? I'll help you guys on for maybe like 15 minutes, man. Let's go. I don't have my speaker with me, so it might not be so loud. If it's not loud, then I can't do it anyway. So we'll try this out. Also, I'm gonna type in my Instagram. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram. Ship will sail. Nice on the way, brother. You're more than welcome to come on real quick. Been catching some of your streams as well. Thank you so much for taking your time out to visit me. Really appreciate that. I know the world tech out here these days. I mean, I have all the time in the world. Okay, I got my brother, the Wolf. Let me see what he wants to chime in. Hey, what's up, man?
I'm good. How you been?
Yeah, doing good, man. Yeah, just chilling outside my favorite tea place. Just kicking. This is a good spot.
By the way,
yeah,
hey. Oh, by the way, when I brought up the song by Salt and Pepper, you gotta understand that wasn't just like some frivolous teenager kind of talk. That song was about talking about intimacy and sex within a relationship, because they were talking about some serious stuff back then. It was like this was mature grown folks talk. That's what it was. Yeah. On top of that, I remember in an album before that,
I need a chicken wing.
Need chicken wing.
Well, that too. But like I said, they were talking about some serious things about sex and sex and relationships. Because understand, when the time they were singing, you had HIV being a real problem. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, so they were making a comeback here, man. I'm in the Bay Area, and it's making a comeback, man. A lot of people being super reckless.
Man, they say HIV came from Africa. I don't believe it.
You don't believe that?
I would know.
I don't believe it came from Africa. I believe they created that shit in the laboratory or some shit.
All right.
Well, hey, Wolf, let me, because you guys are chiming in at the same time, so it's kind of hard to listen. So, we'll say, say it again.
I said, I don't believe HIV came from Africa. I believe it was created like in a laboratory.
Oh, I don't believe that either.
They put everything negative on Africa.
I believe it was seriously created in a laboratory, and they made it look like it was an African problem. But what's funny is HIV statistically only really affects at-risk people, and at-risk people are people that intravenous drug users and people that participate in anal sex. That was not really popping in Africa at the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's why it was huge in San Francisco, I heard, back in like the 80s. HIV.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, you have a small group of people, and I'm going to try to keep this as, as YouTube friendly as possible. But I think what we're talking about. If you have a small group of people engaging in that activities, and they're not using protection, because guess what? Why would they use protection if they're not getting pregnant, right? So they're engaging a lot of sexual promiscuous activities within a small group. And on top of that, some of them are using drugs too. That's going to spread like wildfire. You know what I'm saying?
Crystal meth comes to mind.
Crystal meth.
That was popular drug of choice was crystal meth.
In Cali, it's real bad. In Cali, it's so bad that they just basically they tried to decriminalizing it, but it's actually making it worse. Like, it's out of control.
I'm good with the weed. The only drug I use is marijuana. Only drug I use is marijuana. Sure.
All right. As I was saying, I remember watching this one episode of Law and Order or Special Victims Unit, if you might recall that show. Mm-hmm. They were talking about what happened was they were investigating this one case where a gay man was murdered, and they later found out that it had a relationship to a certain because this is in New York in the Greenwich area, and they realized that there was something going on within the gay community itself. I mean, there was some people who were trying to promote safe sex, you'd be seeing AIDS activists being outside of gay clubs, handing people condoms on the way in and out. And of course, the coroner showed that one of the victim had crystal meth in their system, but they also had they were also HIV positive, and they had a strain of the virus that was immune to natural naturally resistant to the current concoctions of antiretrovirals. They
got a cure for HIV. They have a cure for HIV by now, man. have a cure for it.
Every
They're just not gonna.
virus is like that.
They're just
Every
not gonna
virus is
release
like that.
it.
It gets stronger over time.
One at a
That's what
time.
lot of
One at a
people don't
time.
understand, you know, a lot of people like, just give these people, these drugs and they can live, non-productive lives. What they don't realize is if it goes unchecked, it's going to mutate. Just like any other bacteria out there, it's going to mutate. It's never going to go
Any
away.
Any virus. Because remember, the viruses, every once in a while, when a virus replicates itself, there's always that outside chance that one of its offspring will have a certain slight variation within the RNA sequence. Anybody who understands genetics would understand what I'm talking about RNA sequences. That's what I mean. That's the same problem they're having with COVID right now, because now you got new strains coming out.
Yeah, the thing with COVID, what I think is kind of crazy is instead of the government focusing on just overall health, because America especially has suffered from multiple obesity, people smoke, drink too much, all kinds of stuff, right? Of all the health fiascos that we had, that's why I think our numbers are so bad. It's because they freak out when they think about infections, right? But just because you get infected with something doesn't mean you're going to die. How many millions of people catch the common cold? Only maybe a handful of people die from the common cold. People used to die.
Are you sure it's not the mishandling?
Yeah.
Are you sure it's not the mishandling? Because remember, people were in some countries they were able to enforce a shutdown and reduce the numbers of cases. Because in some countries they tried the shutdown, it didn't work. Others, they just didn't have a shutdown, and look what happened. So my question is, instead of just blaming the people for their personal choices and whatnot, only because everybody's accountable for their well-being and those of others, but nationwide we're talking about, isn't supposed to be the governments and their health departments supposed to be responsible for how they implement whatever measures that need to be to curb this? And plus, in some places there was some neglect and some mishandling of the crisis, which is why you have the death toll as it is.
Yeah, I feel you. And also,
it costs somebody their job. When you think of it, costs a lot of people their job the way they mishandle it.
Oh yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Yeah. So before we veer off again, because this is a good topic too. I'll engage in having.
Yeah, let's get back to the intimacy sex, because I wanted to talk about that actually.
Yeah.
Because I said,
Ship will sell. You've been quiet for a little bit. What do you think about sexual intimacy within a relationship and how it causes a lot of dysfunction? Ship will say, you're still there?
I mean, can it really it depends on your relationship. I mean, some relationships are built with sex,
Mm-hmm.
So for certain relationships, you need sex for it to be healthy. I don't know. It depends. What are really some examples where sex can be harmful in a relationship? It's
here's an example. You see Baby Boy.
You're doing it too much. You're doing it too much or something, and then maybe it's distracting you from your purpose or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you seen Baby Boy the movie with Tyrese?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, his relationship with what's her name, Taraji P. Henson or whatever her name is, one of his baby mamas. That was toxic because it was really based around sex, and you can see that they weren't compatible. They were always fighting all the time, all this other kinds of stuff, and then he didn't want to grow up, right? He wasn't taking care of his kid.
Oh yeah, I see now. I see.
You know what I'm saying? And because he was getting all that, he was also fucking multiple women too on top of that. So because he was out there smashing all the time, it ruined his maturity. You know what I'm saying?
He had first of all, he was put in the place of Arrested Development. Let's not forget that, because he talked about, because if you remember the backstory,
the scene at the beginning with he was like a fetus, right?
No,
remember that scene?
No, that's not where I'm going.
Yeah,
that's
I'm just
not
saying.
Where I'm going. No, let's not jump the gun. There was that part where he talks about his when he first inclination. What I'm talking about is when Ving Rhames comes into the house. Ving Rhames looks at a picture, right, and he told him, "That's my older brother." And then he explained what happened to him, how he got shot and became he was kicked out of the house and he ended up killed. And later on, he admitted to his mom that I was scared I was going to go out like Ray Ray. I don't want to end up like Ray Ray. That's why I act the way I do. Because as long as I act like a child and whatnot, you're not going to force me out the house. Because most boys are put in a place of arrested development. Now, as far as the relationship with Taraji, remember he had a daughter from another girl. Remember he went to go visit her, his daughter from another. And remember Taraji and that other chick, they looked at each other and they were like, one of them showed a tattoo with his name on it or something like that. There was basically they were just kind of like intimidating each other. But the thing about it is like, some relationships are based on sex. Others there has to be a level of camaraderie and intimacy. Now, intimacy that has to be worked out by the individuals themselves. But half the time, I don't think they know how to communicate with each other the way they need to be. And some people, I mean, does anybody remember Chris Rock's Never Scared?
Yeah.
His 2004 special. He talked about why you shouldn't argue with a woman. And explain the reason why some women argue with the men they are is because, first of all, you weren't her first choice.
Yep.
He talks about how some women go into certain relationships because they don't want to be alone, but unfortunately they're with somebody they don't want to be, and they try to make it your fault you're with them. Well, in a sense, you are with somebody you want, but they don't want to be like the title of this topic is unrequited love. You're with somebody. If you are in a relationship with somebody, you love them, but they don't like you. It's a relationship that's not really a good one. You coming into it delusionally, and she's coming in it with utter contempt. I remember someone talking about the writings of a gentleman named Dr. John Gottman. He talks about if either person harbors any level of contempt, resentment, or animosity to the other person, that relationship's not going to work. So sexual intimacy is an aspect of the relationship, but it's not the only thing. Now, is sex required in a relationship? Yes. Now, if you're dealing with somebody who has some kind of sexual dysfunction, that needs to be addressed. And some people, they don't want, and unfortunately, some people try to use sex to control others. Like women will try to manipulate men through sex.
But that's what happens in marriage all the time, man. Like guys,
men also use money.
Guys have that.
Men on the flip side use money.
All the time. They'll be smashing all the time during the honeymoon and all that kind of stuff. And then years
it's
go
called
by,
bait and switch.
Have kids and all that kind of stuff. Like sex is used as a currency. That's foul. To me, that's foul. Like
there's also something called bait and switch.
I might have sex with you. That's whack. That's terrible.
There's something called bait and switch as well. I wonder if you understand that.
Yeah, I heard about that too.
So some women just put out at the beginning of the relationship just as thinking that on a false pretense you get certain things. Or some people will use a different form of bait and switch where they will convince you to come into the relationship with them on the implied promise of pussy.
Yeah.
With no guarantees. So you're going into something.
Hey, that must have happened to you before, bro.
Excuse you?
I said that must have happened to you before, bro.
No, not really.
Well,
I've had people lie to me, but that's neither here or there.
I've played you before, bro.
Hey, I'll admit
I played for the pussy, bro. Stop lying, bro.
I'll admit it. I got a bait and switch once. You know what I'm saying?
Like he gonna say once, bro. It was more than one time, bro.
Yeah. All right.
Have you? Have you?
Hell yeah.
Will?
Hell yeah, I got played before. What? Fuck.
We've all been played, but that's not. But I'm talking about something else. But I guess you just want to bring in everybody's business out here. Damn, cheeky motherfucker. Excuse my French.
Yeah, no, it's all good, man. But that's how I learned from my mistakes, man. You know what I'm saying? I can't do that anymore because I like
hey,
sex
grew up.
the next guy, but that's not my priority when I interact with a woman.
Zaki, you must have been caught up. You must have been tricking, bro. You got caught up tricking.
Oh no, I don't pay for pussy. Nope. Hell no. I was in Las Vegas 2 or 3 weeks ago. I could have tricked my brain.
Oh shit.
You know what I mean?
Bro, you was in the strip club making it rain, bro.
What?
You was in the strip club making it rain, bro.
No, I've only been to strip club twice. Yeah.
I've been in strip club one time. It was
It's the
decent.
How bad
biggest
was it?
waste of money ever, man. I feel just stupid even being there one time. I mean, it's cool,
Yeah,
but like you can see cheeks. Like I see girls walking around looking like strippers every day. Like this is a college town I'm in. I see girls looking like that just walking down the street. I get free views all the time. You know, I don't have to pay them shit. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, bro. A lot of them got boyfriends too. Like
of course,
everybody
they need to anchor themselves to a man, just like just like prostitutes anchor themselves to a pimp.
Mhm.
They need to be anchored to a male to a male figure in order to function properly in this world. Because they know what they're doing is kind of toxic and it will have a negative effect on them. So they need to have somebody to attach to. It helps them stay grounded in a sense.
I need a chicken wing.
Now go
Hey
on,
guys,
go on.
hey
Go
you
about
guys,
your
I'll take
business
that as a
then.
cue. Hey, it's almost 7:30 where
Yeah,
I'm at
right.
right now. I'm gonna go
All right.
get it unpacked and stuff. I'm sorry I didn't start this early. If I started this early, I would have kept this going. But hey, man,
No problem.
thank you so
Good
much,
hearing
guys,
from
for
you.
coming through, especially Shit Will Sail. I think this is like actually the first time I've had you on a panel. So thanks for coming through, man.
All right, bye.
I'm hungry, bro.
Oh yeah,
I'm
I'm
gonna go
probably
get
gonna
me
go get
some
some
chicken, bro.
wings.
I'm hungry, bro. I need some KFC, something, bro.
Hey,
Church's
no, I'd
chicken,
rather go
bro.
to Wingstop, man. KFC is overrated. Popeyes, I'd rather go to Popeyes or Wingstop.
Bro, I love KFC. The original recipe, bro.
It's
It's
too
so
greasy.
greasy and soft, bro. That shit tastes good. I can give me a whole fucking bucket of that motherfucking shit, bro.
It makes me. It's so greasy. It makes me sick, man. I used to love it. I used to
That
love
shit
it when I
tastes
was a kid,
good,
using it
bro.
in buckets and everything.
That shit tastes good to me.
Hey, man. Hey, thanks for coming on, man. I'll see you on the next
I
one.
had me a 3-piece from Church's the other day, bro, for like $4. That mug was banging, bro.
Yeah, I used to go to churches too. I lived across the street from one.
That shit was too crispy for me though. It was good.
Yeah. All right, man. I'll see you.
All right, man. All right.